The more people that I help with their careers, the more I start to realize this one thing. The whole notion of a career and someone's working life is pretty much structured exactly like a video game. There are different levels, and each level requires a different skill set and operating system to get to the next. As you move through this game, you're not necessarily moving through jobs. You're just moving through different levels where each one demands a different operating system. The way that you get your first job is going to look completely different than how you get your second. And the way that you seek a promotion internally is going to require a different strategy than if you were trying to lateral to a different company. Each chapter is its own level, and each level requires a different playbook and operating system. And here's the one thing that you need to understand, which is what I'll cover in this video. You can't enter a new level or a new chapter until you can already do that level to a minimum degree before entering. If you want to become a senior manager, you need to demonstrate that you can do the role of a senior manager before you're even in that position. If you want to become a junior analyst at a hedge fund, for example, you need to demonstrate that you can do that job at the very minimal level before you even get there. The same rule and concept applies to every job in every function at every level. You need to showcase that you can do the job before you actually can get the interview. And most people don't get this concept. They'll spend years criticizing themselves for not having the right skill set or chase another fake credential. They might watch the wrong content, try the wrong hacks, send another 50 applications that don't work, polish their resume for the 15th time. Most people will obsess over a dream job, a prestigious role, the title, everything that comes with it. But they never ask themselves the question of how do you get yourself to a point where it's a no-brainer for a company to hire you? That's the simple reframe that you need to have, and it'll cut a lot of noise in your day-to-day life. It's also important to stop trying to skip levels and rather get good enough and develop the skill sets and operating system to do the one that you're meant to do next. So let me give you a tangible example. Say you want to break into product management at a top startup. You might have found a company that you like and started reaching out to some people to see if they're hiring. You're doing everything that you can think of to land the interview, but you're not taking any actual action. Meanwhile, on the other hand, somebody else who's looking for the same role has already shipped a fake product or prototype or just a small feature that they can demonstrate to the company that they're capable of doing the job of a product manager. They have specific opinions about the company based off of conversations. They've written together a document that shows what they'll do in the first 30 days, and they're speaking the language of the company and market fluently. So you see, there's two different ways of going about it. Most people, maybe even you right now, will just try to optimize a resume and play the application game, versus others who will start making themselves minimally viable and showcase that they can do the job before they even actually get there. And I was in your shoes, by the way. I spent months refreshing job pages, sending applications to company I had no real connection to, wondering why nothing was happening. And looking back at it, I can confidently say that I was trying to enter a level I couldn't actually even do yet, not even at a minimum level. These jobs were always close to me until I started acting as if I already had it. And that's the entire game. So in this video, I'm going to cover 4 things. First, we'll go over the game that you're probably in right now that you spent a decade plus getting good at. And then we'll cover the completely different game that starts when you enter the real world. Second, we'll go over the 4 ways where every young person wastes their time without even knowing it. Third, I'll go over the 4-step system for actually getting good at playing the game that you should have probably been playing your entire life already. Then I'll end with 3 skills that'll travel with you across every layer and as you progress in your career. All of these things will help you compound your career capital faster than your peers and finally help you break into that dream 6-figure job opportunity that you've been wanting. By the end of this video, you'll never look at your career the same way. But before I get into the system and before I share some of the tactics, you have to understand why most people don't even know the game that they're playing. This is the foundation. Understanding where you are today, what game you're playing, and why you haven't been playing the game that actually works is going to set the foundation for you to go and actually execute. So here's what most people don't realize. You have been playing a game your entire life. You just didn't know which one. For over a decade, you've been playing the game that I'll call school game. It's very clear and it tells you exactly what the score is. It shows up as your GPA, what college you went to, and it rewards you on a clear schedule. From tests to semesters ending to graduations, and every level that you clear, you get a credential and every credential moves you up. It's very obvious what you need to do in the existing game. And so you probably got really good at playing this game. Most of you watching this probably excelled and did well until you graduated. And once you graduate and enter the real world from about the age of 18 to 35, you expect the game to be the same when that's the furthest thing from reality. The game of the real world is completely opposite than what you've known for your entire life, and no one teaches you this. There's no manual for any of it. As soon as you walk off campus for the last time, the school game ends and the career game will start. It looks similar at the face level. There's still levels, there's still progress, and there are still rewards, but the rules are completely different. And most importantly, no one's gonna hand you a manual. I'll be honest with you, when I first graduated, I was completely lost. I had all the right credentials, I had the right GPA, I had the school name, and I thought I would be set for life. I thought these credentials in the game that I've been playing would help propel me for the rest of my life. And then I walked into the real game and realized that none of that actually mattered. The stats that mattered and the ones that I was grinding for have no impact in the real world. This is the moment of realization that most people break. They look at their credentials and then they look at the world and think, I did everything right, why isn't it working? And once you get to this point, you start to make a real shift. You stop seeing your career as just a destination and you move beyond viewing it from a job title or an offer, and you start seeing it as a game to be played. You stop optimizing for what worked in school and you start updating your operating system for how to actually progress in the real world. Once you make this shift, you'll start playing the game that you should have been playing all your life. Now, most people don't ever make this shift. They keep playing the school game inside the career game and wonder why they're continuously losing. So let me show you what this exactly looks like in practice, because I guarantee you'll recognize at least one of these in yourself, maybe even all four. So there are 4 ways most young people are playing the career game, and these ways are all wrong. They feel productive, but none of them actually move you forward. You might be doing one of these or maybe even all 4. So first is that you're still chasing credentials that nobody's asking for. A second master's degree, a third certification, another boot camp, an MBA that you're applying for because you don't know what you want to do. And don't get me wrong, these credentials matter in the right instances, and the right one at the right moment can unlock a new level. But most of them are just decoration. They make your LinkedIn look impressive, and they make you feel like you're doing something. They cost you 12 to 24 months and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when you look up and take a step back, you can't actually do anything new. You're in the exact same place, just with more letters after the name. You might have improved some skills here and there, but more or less, you really have no value that you can offer in the workplace. Stacking credentials can feel like you're leveling up, but in reality, it's just decoration. The second mistake people make is that they optimize for the wrong thing. People will send 50 applications a week, rewrite their resume for the 15th time, polish cover letters consistently, and keep trying to hit higher volume than people around them. Most people think more applications equals more success, and that's the wrong mindset. The problem being is that the application process is not where careers begin anymore. It's become a filter, and it's built to kick people out before a human ever looks at your file. And the volume game stopped working the second AI tools made it free to apply to 1,000 jobs. So you can spend 2 years getting better at applications, and at the end of those 2 years, you're someone who got really good at part of the process that never got you anywhere. The point isn't to get a better application anymore. It's to get good enough and show your value and leverage that you don't even need them. You want to get to a point where someone vouches for you instead. The third mistake people make is that they chase roles that don't actually fit you. Introverts go for client-facing roles, and people who think in systems and patterns apply to creative agencies. Someone who hates ambiguity will try to recruit for an early-stage startup. You need to start aligning how you operate with the environments that you're recruiting for. The role that fit you when you were 18 and trying to impress your parents is not the same role that fits you now. Most people will simply pick a path based on what they think they're supposed to want rather than deciding what they actually want. The ones who actually win are the ones who figure out what they're actually built for and lean into the things that come naturally to them. The fourth mistake people make is refusing to actually execute. This is the one that nobody talks about. This is when people just sit still. They might send a handful of applications, send a few emails, but they're still waiting for clarity, for inspiration, waiting to be sure until they want to actually commit. They might even send emails, but they don't actually follow up. They say they're going to do all these things, but they never actually go and do them. You're constantly reading about your industry, watching YouTube videos, consuming strategy, but you're not actually doing anything. Clarity doesn't come from sitting still. It'll only come from actually playing. You will never know what you're actually good at until you use those skills in the real world. And refusing to start feels safe and it feels comfortable, but it's the thing that's gonna cost you the most. For every day that you continue doing things that waste your time is a day that somebody else is getting ahead of you. And here's what all 4 of these things have in common. All of them feel like you're doing something, but none of them actually move you forward. Chasing credentials, over-optimizing applications, going for roles that don't fit you, and refusing to start is a way to look busy and tell someone that you're doing something without actually doing something that truly compounds. And time is the most valuable resource and you can't get it back. So every year you spend in the old system and playing the old game is a year that your career capital doesn't grow. So the main question becomes, what does it actually look like to play? What does it mean to grow your real career capital and move to the different levels? Because once you stop doing these things, you have to replace them with something. And that something is a new operating system. Let me walk you through them. And the first 2 steps are where the game actually starts. The first step is to understand the meta game that's being played. Every game has a meta. The meta is a set of strategies that are actually winning right now. And what worked 5 years ago is not going to work today. Every year, the strategy that works changes. Just like any other game, the career game has a meta strategy that works as well. And the one that works today is wildly different than the ones that worked for your parents, your professors, maybe some older peers, and even the people that graduated 5 years ago. So here's what's losing right now. If you operate from a mindset of, I have a degree from a good school, therefore I deserve a job, you're most likely cooked. This worked 40 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago. It stopped working 10 years ago, and today it's gonna hold you back. The supply of credentials has exploded. Everybody has them. They're just table stakes. They don't actually differentiate you, and they don't serve to show any sort of advantage. The other mindset that will continuously hold you back is if I apply to enough places, one will hit. Job boards are flooded. Automated systems filter out most qualified candidates, and the volume game stopped working the moment AI made it free to apply to thousands of jobs within a click. The third way of thinking, and the third meta that's going to keep you back, is the assumption that landing a prestigious role will boost your career and the rest will take care of itself. Prestige is really a borrowed identity, and it looks great on paper, but it doesn't compound the way people think it does. So here's what's actually winning. First is proof of work. If you have the ability to point at something that's tangible that you've made, whether it's a project, a memo, a product, a piece of writing, something that proves you can do the work before anyone even asks you to, that is the best and most clear differentiating factor that you can have. This wasn't required 10 years ago, but it's slowly becoming the base level floor today. The second is leverage. This is the ability to do disproportionate work with the tools that exist today. AI, automation, distribution. If you can make yourself do the work of 10 people with some AI tools, you have created leverage and you are immediately valuable for any company. If you've built a social media following, you have distribution that people want and you can exchange that to companies. Third is judgment. And this comes down to making non-obvious decisions in ambiguous situations. AI can do all of the tasks now, but it can't tell you which is the right one and the wrong one to do. The people who can read a situation and pick the right next move are compounding the fastest. So you have to understand what the underlying baseline is. And it's not what worked for your parents 30 years ago. And it's definitely not the things that your professors are teaching you. It's the actual meta of the world that you're walking into right now. If you're playing for credentials in a world that rewards proof of work, you're going to lose to someone who has half your credentials but twice the amount of projects. This is just how the game works and will continue to work going forward. So once you understand what's actually winning in today's world, the next question is who are you in the game? Because the underlying meta strategy will tell you what's working, but it doesn't tell you which version of working works for you. That's the second step. So the second step is to pick your build. A build is your specific way to play the game. Two people can have the exact same job title and play completely different builds. One could lean into a deep technical workflow, while the other leans into people, relationships, and influence. It's the same role but different build, and both can win. In the career game, your build is a specific combination of skills, interests, and natural strengths that you're going to have to lean into. It's not a generic version of being a good employee. It's your version that's unique to you. So here's 3 questions that can help you audit this and be honest when you answer them. So first, ask yourself what comes naturally to you that other people seem to struggle with. It's not necessarily what you're good at or what you're best at. It's what feels easiest. The things that you can do without realizing that they're hard. The second is, what do you actually pay attention to when nobody's making you? It's not what people tell you to be interested in. What do you actually open at midnight or in your free time when you're bored? The third is, what combination of unique experiences do you have? You spent 4 years studying X, grew up in Y, you spent 2 summers doing Z. Most people will see these as unrelated, but in reality they aren't. The intersection of these 3 seemingly random things is where you can find some specifics about you. Yours is going to be very specific to you, and that's the point. Generic builds and positionings compete in generic markets, while specific builds and positionings compete in markets where nobody else is built like you. You stop trying to be the best version of somebody else's character, and you start just doing things that you truly want to do and that actually interest you. So understanding the base strategy that's needed in today's world and picking your personal approach to play in this game are the foundational skill sets you need. They're more of the strategy layer. But strategy without any execution is just another journal entry. It's not going to get you anywhere. The next 2 steps are where the actual work begins. This is where most people, including the ones who get the strategy right, drop out because they don't actually want to do the work. So in the third step, you start compounding the skills that actually will travel with you throughout your career. Here's the one thing about leveling up that you need to know. There are some things that you build at a job that only matter at that specific job or time period. And there are things that you build that travel with you to every single job or level afterwards. These are the ones that you have to lean into and start compounding. In the career game, most of what people work on doesn't travel well outside of their specific role. It could look like mastering a specific company's internal tool or learning the politics of a specific team. All of that is local, and the moment you change levels, move to a different company, outgrow your current situation, it's gone. The skills that travel, on the other hand, are different. They work at level 1 while also working at level 20. And there are 3 of them. The first is your ability to communicate clearly. This is something that's going to compound with you regardless of where you go, and being able to articulate any sort of information to any other counterpart is the most valuable skill you can develop. The second is actually having something that shows what you can do. We've talked about this as proof of work, but you have to be able to showcase and broadcast to somebody else that you are the one that was responsible for achieving a specific outcome at your previous company, a project you worked on, or whatever it might be. You have to demonstrate that you have specific evidence that you can do what you say you can do. The last thing that compounds across all levels is your network. And this is not the LinkedIn version. It's a small group of people who would take your call if you reached out today. It's people that have seen you work, you've showed something interesting about yourself, the ones who know what you're capable of, and would put your name behind you when a role opens up, act as a reference, or can help you open up doors. So this network is built one real conversation at a time. It's intentional, it takes focus, and it's real conversations where you showed up curious, asked specific questions, listened harder than you talked, and followed up with something useful. These people in your network are the ones that will help you at every stage of your career. Someone that you worked with or worked for when you were younger, who ends up becoming the CEO of a company, probably knows other CEOs and can refer you if you developed a good relationship. So compound these 3 things and your career capital will be built faster than anybody else. This is the part where things get interesting. If you only grind these 3, even at full speed, you're still playing what I'll call the main quest. And that's fine. It works, it's predictable, it'll compound. But the people who win the long game, the ones whose careers seem to leap forward in ways that doesn't make sense from the outside, they're not really winning because they grinded harder on their main quest. They're winning because they took a bunch of side quests. So the step 4 in shifting and updating your operating system is to start playing side quests. This is basically anything that sits outside of the get the job, do the job, and get promoted mindset. It's things that will pay back years from now, or something that you can point to that someone will say, that's really cool. Why did you do that? It's a conversation starter. It can get your foot in the door, and it really will compound much more than you think. Some examples of this are writing publicly about something that you care about. It can be in the form of a blog, a newsletter, Twitter threads, LinkedIn essays, really anything. The reason this compounds is that your thinking will get sharper every time you write, and other people will start finding you because of what you wrote. You become discoverable in a way that no resume makes you. If you have something interesting to share or say, and somebody else in a position of power reads it, you automatically have a connection that you can utilize. The next thing that you can do is build something small that's entirely yours. It could be a side project, a mini tool, a community, social media page. It doesn't need to make money. It doesn't really need to even do anything. It just needs to be real, and it needs to be yours. You can point to this when you're interviewing, trying to get a promotion, trying to lateral, and it's something that will follow you and demonstrates that you have curiosities, you have skills, and most importantly, you can execute. Side quests look like distractions, but they're really not. They're how you build different parts of your career that the main path doesn't have room for. Let's say you're currently in a very technical role, but you want to move more towards the business side. People are going to keep you in the box if you're good at what you do. But if you work on something on the side that demonstrates your business acumen, you have a much more clear story to pivot into the role that you really want. Main paths will get you to the next level, but side quests are really what make you valuable at every level after that. So this brings us to the most important part that people miss. All 4 of these things that I talked about, they don't work in isolation. They work because they compound and complement one another. Let me show you exactly how. So the 4 steps are not a checklist. They're a loop, and each one feeds the next. The more times you cycle through it, the more momentum you will build. So first, you have to understand the base level strategy and read the meta. You'll have to learn what's actually winning in today's world. Second is you have to pick how you want to position yourself in today's world. You decide which version of you that you're going to play. The third is you have to compound the things that travel. Proof of work, network, thinking and communicating clearly, base level skills that travel across each level. And the last is taking side quests, doing things that nobody has assigned you that complement what you're trying to do. If you really want to become a software engineer doing front end for a social media company, you can start designing front end software in your free time at the base level to showcase that you can do the job that you want to do. And so then this loop repeats. If the base level meta strategy shifts, you re-understand it, you evolve how you play in it, and you just try to develop the skills that actually matter. You do this through side quests, you do this through your main job, you do this through writing, coding, whatever applies to your specific situation. In every cycle, you become stronger, more known, more capable, and more valuable. So let me bring this back to where we started. You don't necessarily enter a new level, whatever that looks like, whether it's getting your first job or getting your second job, by trying harder at the current level that you're at. You enter it by getting good enough to actually do that level. You have to make yourself a no-brainer for whatever it is that you're pursuing. And so here's the question that I want you to sit with. If you're not at the level or stage that you want to be at today, how are you going to change how you spend your time next week? Think through what we talked about, how you can position yourself to become a no-brainer for whatever level that you want to get to next, and start acting accordingly. I write about this every single week in my newsletter with more detailed frameworks that hopefully help you actually go from information to execution. The world has never been harder to move through, but if you have the right strategy and the right orientation, it's never been easier. I'll see you in the next video.